Hey, DJ.
What's up, Wes? What's going on?
Hey, man, did you know in 2014, a small town in Texas voted to reschedule Halloween to October 30th because the October 31st date conflicted with the local high school's Friday night football game?
You know, that's probably the most Texas football thing I've ever heard in my life.
You know, Texas football is no joke.
Yeah, I agree.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Live, Love, Wylie podcast, hosted by Wes Dorsey and DJ Shirley. Connecting people in the city we live and love. All right, DJ, we got a very special episode today.
We do. We've got a pretty unique one. I've been kind of excited about this since I knew we were going to be able to make it happen because it's just different than some of the other ones.
No, we've been talking about it for a while.
We have. Took a little coordination. We've got a couple of busy individuals with us today.
Well, who do we have?
Well, okay. So today we've got the coach of the Pirates. We've got the coach from Wylie High School, Coach Carter. And we also have the coach from DUBEAST over here, Wylie East. And I had to say DUBEAST because I am from the east side, so I got to represent a little bit. We've got Coach Gold with us too. So I'm excited because we've got a big game, a big event that takes place in Wylie again now after a history of us not having it. But, yeah, we've got Coach Gold and Coach Carter here with us today, gentlemen.
I'm super excited about this.
Gentlemen, welcome. It's good to have you all here.
Appreciate you having us. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
I appreciate it. I know you guys got, we were just joking about it before we started that, it's not like y'all have anything else to do, like, prep for any football games or anything like that. It's not like it's Thursday or anything.
Yeah.
No big deal, right?
Yeah. So before we get started, I kind of want to, if people are new to the podcast, haven't listened in before, kind of go over, how we structure things. We bring our guests on. We want the audience to get to know them as an individual, who they are, where they came from, how they got to Wylie. So we're going to do that today. Get to know both these head coaches here.
Yeah, we can start with Coach Carter. Give us a little bit of just, I always like to know, I love football, I love sports in general, grew up playing sports. So, I always like the backstory a little bit. So, what, I guess, you don't have to go all the way back maybe, but just what got you into coaching and what led you down that path? And then I guess what eventually led you to be here in Wylie?
I'm a little bit different than most coaches. I actually want to be a game warden.
Okay.
I grew up in the country in Arkansas and hunting and fishing. That's what I knew. And went to school and played football and was trying to be a game warden. And they had a hiring freeze on. And so I told my dad that all I'd ever known to do was play football and go to school. So I decided to become a coach. And my now wife was in the same program. She was a volleyball player. And so, she was going to be a coach also. So got back into the program, and then a guy that I worked for at Arkansas Tech actually got a defensive line job here in Wylie in 1997, and then I graduated in 98, and he hired me as a junior high coach, which is Burnett Junior High now, but it was the only junior high in Wylie at that time. So I actually came in 98 and went back to Arkansas in 2000, then was gone for several years, and then in 2006 when Coach Howard took over at Wylie High, I was fortunate enough to come back. And then became the defensive coordinator when Coach Lepsis took over at Wylie East. And then when Coach Howard retired 4 years ago, became the head coach of Wylie.
That is awesome. So back and forth. What made you go back to Arkansas? Just home and job offers and things?
I really thought if I could get my wife back to God's country that I could keep her there, but it didn't happen.
There's some good hunting up in Arkansas.
There's some really good hunting, and a little unique story. Rhett Lashley, the head coach at SMU, I coached him at Shiloh Christian, so he won me a state championship in Arkansas. So
that's awesome.
So it was pretty cool. But I just being both coaches, there's more opportunities in the Metroplex to work and grow. So that's why.
Is your wife still coaching?
No, she's actually the principal now in Garland.
Oh, okay, very cool, very cool. That is awesome. Well, Coach Gold, now you got your this time to shine.
So, but what I heard was we got one state championship over here. Right?
Okay, yeah.
I didn't win it, I promise you.
There's a tally. We got a little bit of a tally. No pressure.
Yeah, that's actually awesome hearing his story and how it's still somewhat connected, and I'll connect it for you here in a second. But I grew up in the Metroplex, graduated from Irving, always been a football guy, went to A&M, walked on there, eventually got a scholarship, played football there, immediately got into coaching. when I graduated, and it was just the luck of the draw. I'm applying for all kind of jobs, and Lepsis brings me in. Coach Joe Lepsis, I know him and Coach Carter work together, so that's kind of how it all branched away and kind of got connected. And I came on as a defensive backs coach. Was here for 2 years. Awesome assistant job. Just a great community, a great place to be. Great football atmosphere. That's when the East and Wylie High rivalry began.
Yeah.
Back then, and it was a little different than it is now, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit more later. But I wanted to try to move up in my career, so I went back to Irving, became a defensive coordinator, and then I took a leap of faith and went out to East Texas to White House. It was a 2-8 program, and I knew that was an opportunity to turn that program around and help build something. And I was out there for 5 years, 2 years as a defensive coordinator. They promoted me to be a head coach. Met my wife. We both actually graduated from A&M, but we didn't connect till later on.
Sure.
She was a track star, and had a little one, and she said, I want to get back closer to family. And she wins that conversation.
That's how it works.
Every time.
Yeah. The East job opened up. I applied for it. I had connections here, came back, and now we're off and running 3 years later. So
yeah,
that's kind of a little bit of history there.
That's very cool. Now, you mentioned White House. Were you?
There was somebody famous.
Were you at White House when a particular person?
Who is that?
I don't know. He's got some crazy hair.
It's little Chiefs Kingdom over there right now. But he came back all the time. Me and him talked a few times. He talked to the team. I didn't coach him.
That's awesome, though.
I actually coached against him when I was here as an assistant coach. We played White House in the playoffs.
How'd that go?
It was a high scoring football game. We won.
Okay.
Yeah,
good,
East won, and but he was probably one of the best, if not the best, high school quarterback I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't think we've mentioned his name.
Patty, Patrick Mahomes.
There we go.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes. So it's
My homie.
His younger brother was actually part of our program. So he wasn't playing football, but he played basketball.
Yeah.
That's what brought Patrick back a lot.
Okay.
And he wasn't even a starting quarterback then. So I couldn't imagine. But when he walked into a gym, he had his hoodie on, but everybody knew.
Oh, you knew exactly.
Everybody
who it was.
knew he was there. So luckily his brother's already graduated, so he doesn't have to be harassed or too much anymore.
Right. Now it's all about Taylor Swift, apparently. That's all he gets to talk about now on TV. So, no, that's cool. And we always like for people to know, as I was mentioning to Coach Carter before you got here, is that people may hear y'all's names or see you at the games, and obviously your athletes know you, your parents' athletes know you, but not everyone in the community necessarily knows. They just assume that you were just here. They don't know the backstory. They don't even know some of the connection pieces, and that's what we try to do through the podcast. Is if we have business owners or things like that in here in the community, people see the brands or they see maybe the people in their faces, but they don't really know the connection pieces that are there. And that you mentioned some things about just it being an awesome place and kind of you were drawn back here. And I actually think I knew that you were in Irving because my wife actually graduated from Nimitz. So, and it's been, I won't say how long ago because I'll probably get in trouble for saying that,
100%.
but it's been a little while. It's been a little bit. But I think that we knew that because my daughter actually, she was like, yeah, she's like, I think our coach went to the same school as you. And I was like, well, that's just random. It's Irving Nimitz, right? Like it is what it is. Yeah. Same color. So we'll be all right. Yeah. Get too much trouble.
Are we ready to get to the topic at hand?
I think we are. Obviously, like I quickly put this little graphic together. Whatever. We've got the Crosstown Showdown coming up, but
you didn't say it right.
What's the Crosstown?
The Crosstown.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Showdown.
I didn't know we were doing like special effects or anything. I'm sorry. I didn't have my like Monster Jam hat on today.
It's Friday.
I'm sorry. I missed that. I missed the memo.
Okay.
I'll get better. But we've got a big game that's coming up, but we also know that the Crosstown Showdown as a whole, and as I don't want to call it branded, but it really is, that it's really bigger than just the game, that there's a lot of other things that kind of go into it. And, I know because I'm connected, but I think everyone around town also knows just because they see it. And I know like one of those is, Fuel City. Fuel City did this thing where they stepped up. We knew they were coming to the community. We knew that they had done some things with some other school districts, and we were fortunate enough that they wanted to do something with ours for the Education Foundation. But just briefly, if you gentlemen want to talk about, I mean, I know it's big for y'all because obviously the positions that you're in, I mean, but what does this really mean for I guess just the ISD and having the students involved and having some of the community involved in, I've seen the principals are doing little competitions back and forth where I know Miss Doolin's going, I don't want to get silly stringed and you got to do this, but it really seems like it's much bigger than just a football game.
Yeah. I mean, it is about the football, but it's so awesome to see, the whole school get involved, the whole community get involved, with different aspects of the Crosstown Showdown, with Ms. Doolin and Mr. Alexander, with the PTA, the Fuel City involvement.
Yeah.
I think we're having a bold barbecue
Yeah, I think I saw that too.
eat off or something like that. I'm not going to get involved in that one. So
I don't know. That's not one that I'd probably complain about. I mean, that'd probably be one that
I'll step up. I'll represent.
But I think like Coach Gold said earlier, back when the rivalry first started, and then it was gone there for a while, and now it seems to be more community widespread, more than just a football game.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, I was a little disconnected for a while since coming back, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. When we were going to go play Wylie High in that football game last year, I completely downplayed it. I was, hey, it's just another district game. Here we go. There's bigger things out there. I'm doing all this. That was not smart on my behalf because it wasn't that at all.
Right.
And you get to that game and you walk out into that stadium and it's like, okay, this is different. The kids need to know it's different. And
Everything
honestly,
I said, forget it.
right. And I shared this with Coach Carter in the past. It's better when we're both good. It really is. This fact that they're playing really well. We've played really well lately. When we're both good, it's better. It's better for the city, the community.
Yeah.
And when you see schools that go to make runs in the playoffs, go to state championships, they have multiple schools in their area or in their district that are good. So
Right.
it's a good thing going on right now.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
That atmosphere last year at that game was just phenomenal. I
Yeah.
mean,
It would remind me. I grew up in a couple different places, but I grew up most of my life in Mesquite, and there was always like a big, the North Mesquite versus Old Mesquite, and then you started putting some of the newer schools in the mix. Poteet was never really in the mix. Sorry, guys, but they just weren't. It was just, even if the teams weren't that good, they would usually be on the same level. And then I went to school for a little bit in Maypearl, Texas, out in the middle of nowhere, and it was like that. You're talking about a town of 2,000 people, but when you walked out to the stadium for Friday Night Lights, it was like everything else was shut down. Like there were no restaurants open. You couldn't even get gas.
The
Like,
whole town was
you had to
there.
drive into Waxahachie to get gas because the attendant is at the game. Right. And that's just that's the environment I feel like you get. And we talk to a lot of people about, from the business community to, Dr. Vincent sitting in here, you don't feel like the town is 70,000 people or 65,000, whatever we're at. You still get that environment. And to me, I don't want to tie it all back to Texas football. I mean, but you do. You go to certain towns, and I lived in Florida for a little bit, and it was different. We went to some of our kiddos that we knew from church. We'd go to their football games, and we're like, this is the varsity game? There's like 40 people here. And it was kind of sad. It was just not what we were. It's the whole Texas mum thing, too. Like, it's different here. Yeah. But it's even more different. You come to some of these towns that Wylie has, I feel like, still maintain that, like, you sometimes feel like there's 5,000 or 10,000 people here until you show up, and get some of the traffic going on. I mean, but when you go to the games, you still feel that way. Like, it's still, we don't have any other plans on Friday night except for to be at one of the games. And it's really cool because you don't have that even at some other schools in the Metroplex. Like, it's just neat to be able to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's that way a lot here because it's not just football, right? When they call it Friday Night Lights, you have so many other groups that play such a big role, and people are coming to watch the band and and the drill team and the cheer squad and ROTC, and everybody has their roles and the different coin toss stuff that goes on every week, and the themes throughout the entire school. It truly is not just a football game. It's Friday Night Lights. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a full on. And it's just crazy to see the orchestration that goes into, obviously from the football team, but then just the bands that we have. That's one of I love sports again, and I love watching sports, and being able to watch the game is what I'm there for. My youngest is 11, 12, and she could care less about the games happening, but the band comes out, drill team comes out, things. She's all eyes are on the field. She can't believe that there's that many people in a band. And it just blows her mind.
My son graduated from that Wylie band, so I was a band dad too. I didn't get to see very many halftime performances, but
sure,
I got to see some of the pre-games. So, it was kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Oh, is it my turn?
Oh, is it you?
Is it back to me?
I think so.
Oh yeah. So okay, let's moving on down the agenda here. Let's talk about the teams, your team, and what we can expect out of the game this year. Let's start first.
Sure,
Coach.
Hopefully, just like last year, it's going to have some playoff implications on it. It's a big game, and hopefully it'll be a good game. It's going to be a dogfight. I don't know what words to kind of describe it. It's going to be a battle. It's like two brothers that are going to meet in the backyard and get after it, and see what happens when the dust clears.
Absolutely. So, for people that haven't been keeping up, how many games into the season are we so far?
Yeah, and that's where I'm thrown off. We just got our butts whooped last Friday night. We're about to go play Garland, who's 4-1 tomorrow, and looking down the road, you get Wylie High, who hasn't lost a game in district. So it's certainly going to have playoff implications, and it's going to be a fun atmosphere, and it'll be good.
That's awesome. I think there's you catch that different element too. I think that there's, growing up, I would hear a coach say those same things to me of like, it's just another game, and it's don't let. And I think there's. I
don't think I told Marcus, but I did the same thing last year too.
I think
it really wasn't.
I think you have to, but I think it's two sides to both coin, or it's a catch-22, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
it's sure. Because I think if you tell me the other way, and I'm overly thinking about it, and like, we can't lose this game, we can't do that. You go in and you play that way. Right. But the other side of it is just like any other game. I don't know, sometimes you get that mentality too. You go in there and you play soft or whatever, and it's like, I don't know. But it seems like in recent years, I've been here 6-7 years now, and we just obviously brought the Crosstown back recently, but it seems like that's kind of what it's looked like, is like we have two different schools but are on, and correct me if I'm wrong, but fairly even playing field. You watch some of these games, and I can only relate it back to, say college or the NFL. Like, I'm a big Longhorn fan. I'm sorry, but I'm a Longhorn fan. We go play teams that we should destroy, but because it's that game, it's going to be 17-13, or it's going to be 10-7. It's going to be, and it's not what anyone anticipated. You couldn't have made the right bet on that game. And I don't know what that is. As a coach, how do you even put that in perspective for your kids? I mean, I don't even know that you can wrap your head around it.
Yeah, I think that the talents, it goes back and forth, and I think it's certainly more even right now, but it doesn't matter. Like you said, back when you talk about Texas, when I was at A&M, we went 4-8 one year, and we played Texas, who won the national championship, down to the wire. Yeah. It doesn't ever make sense, right? But I think a little bit has to do with the kids that grow up with each other. They just know each other. Yeah. They play little league ball together. It's almost like
some of them sit in the same classrooms at McMillan together.
Right. Yeah. It's like, why does your scout team make plays against the starting varsity kids, right? Because they're going against each other every single day, and they get used to each other. And I think a little bit has to do with that for sure.
Yeah, that's where our big split happens. I mean, we saw that with my kiddo. My kiddo's at East now, and she had kids that she would be playing volleyball with, and then like they kind of hit that split right after Burnett, and you had some that were coming over from McMillan, and then some that were shifting, and it's like you had these new girls in it. And initially, it's like seeing it from her perspective is like, who are these new girls? Yeah. Who are these new girls? But then they come to realize that like, that's just added work. It's added competition. It's all good, but you have these players that some of them outside of maybe club ball, they never really saw or knew how they played, but then you start meshing them together, and you've got these two totally separate kind of schools that happen because of it, because of the great divide that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of both programs, we've got some incredible recruiting coming out of both schools, not only just, the football program, coming out of Wylie College, NFL, but also, all athletics and the academics from both schools. So that's really been a big positive thing for a lot of the kiddos here in the town.
Yeah, I think the kids look at it. I mean, y'all can probably speak that better than us, but I always think it's cool, and I think it's something neat that Wylie does, is that, we see the kids that go sign on to play football, and we had a couple of bigger ones last year. I know particularly left the East and then left the High too, but that are going on to do big things. And I know we have a couple of NFL names that are out there, and that some of them have even still come back and done things in the community. But even beyond that, I thought it was really neat to see, them take it to, you've now got like the robotic signings, and you've got the, I just think it's cool. Like, it's like you've got these kids that, we've always seen the baseball, basketball. We've always seen the athletic side. We've always seen cheerleaders that get there, I'm going to go here, but now being able to see the other side of it. But there's just, to me, and I know a lot of schools have that. I know kids get recruited out of all kinds of different areas, but it just seems like, and maybe it's because we're sitting in these chairs and in this place. But Wylie is a special place that you see these kids that go on to just do really great things. And it's, maybe start with athletics, but you've got some kids academically that I know are probably on your football teams too, that you'd be like, you know what, kid's probably not getting a full ride at a, D1 school, but the kid is a special kid. Like, he's going to do great things. He's probably going to get a full ride for academics or something else. And just if y'all want to speak on that a little bit, I know y'all both have awesome programs and awesome kiddos in your programs.
Yeah, I mean, football ends for everybody at some point, right? And it's great to have options. And I think I had a kid that last year that went on to McMurray, and he won like state at the robotics competition and got money for doing stuff like that. And it's different nowadays. You want to keep options open for kids. You want them to have choices. It's not just football. It's there's ag. It's all the different things that go on into your program, and having the certain guys that you talked about of Eno Benjamin, who was just recently with the Texans. You have Marcel Aitman, who just signed with the Buffalo Bills. Colleges see that. The traffic is always great, and just gives opportunity. We don't know who's going to go anywhere. We don't give scholarships, but to have that opportunity and for traffic to constantly come into East and Wylie High certainly makes Wylie an attractive place to be.
Yeah,
not just in sports, but in everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's kind of funny that Marcus said, he talked about ag. He had a kid that was late to practice the other morning because he had to go worm his pig, at the barn before he came over.
If that doesn't remind you of Arkansas.
It really does. Here we are in a 6A football town, and kid's got to go worm his pig,
Yep.
So, it's kind of cool. I had a kid last year that, played a lot of receiver for us and, spots started here and there, and then signed a full scholarship for theater. So,
Wow.
It's kind of cool, So,
Yeah.
We both have a lot of, multi-talented kids, in our programs, and it's kind of cool to see, not only in football, but in our other athletic programs also.
Sure. Yeah, I know. I think there was recently, I know it was at East. I'm a volleyball dad on all fronts. So, we just had one of the kiddos at East that just signed with or verbal committed to Florida. It's just seeing that it's across the spectrum. Obviously you've got great athletes and things that pop up, but like you just said, those stories are cool to me. Like, not everybody knows that they're not planning on. You got the kids that from the time they were 5 years old, they're like, I'm gonna play in the NFL, and that's been their life goal. And now once they eventually realize that it's the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, then, maybe dreams teeter a little bit. Like, I want to get a full ride. I want to pay for my school. I want to get a partial ride and I want to pay for part of my school. But then you got some of them that exactly that, like, football was fun. Some I did in high school. I made a lot of great friends and learned a lot of great things, and it's going to make me a great person. But I got a full ride to go do theater.
Yeah.
But the life lessons, I think that, I don't know, we could talk about sports all day long. The life lessons I think you learn playing sports and being involved in not just sports, but being involved in that community. It could be ag, could be theater. It's just life lessons you can take and run with for the rest of your life. And
And you don't want to get burnt out, right?
No.
Like, we try to preach multi-sport.
Yeah.
But at the 6A level, when you start having 2,600, 3,000 people at your school, students, and sometimes being a multi-sport athlete, it can be tougher because the competition is much more. So having those hobbies and different things to do is certainly good for all the students.
No, I agree. And it's cool seeing my kiddo is one of those, plays volleyball, but then she's in choir. And then she was wanting to do those extra choir things that were elective or you had to make it. And she was like, well, I've got this and I got this. And I'm like, well, you got club tournaments. Like, you can't go to Disney where they're going this year. Like, I know you're asking me for more money. That's all you know how to do. But, like, you can't go do all those things. And they have to make some of those decisions. But we told her the same thing. Volleyball has its lifespan, and that, you do something else that you enjoy too. Like, you can always go do choir, you can do whatever you want. Like, and that's another unique thing about Wylie that I know that y'all know, but Wylie, the career path options they have for these kids, we never had anything like that going through school, where they can go through and work at a real restaurant and learn how a restaurant works, and they can work in auto body, and they can do these different things and these different paths they can go down medically. It's just different. And I think that, our kiddos that are here have a huge advantage. They take advantage of those things, even beyond our athletic program. So it's awesome. What else we got, Wes? I think we've got, I talked to some friends at the ISD, and they asked me to make a statement, and I'm going to make a statement.
All right, hold on. All right.
You got to switch the camera.
Let's zoom in on you.
So I asked, I texted somebody today, and I said, hey, we're having the coaches in, and we're going to talk to them about the game and, just the crosstown thing. And a couple of the pointers he gave me were the ones we already talked about. There's more to it than just the game, and we've already kind of talked on that. But one thing that he brought up is that it's a big game, it's a big rivalry, but we're all still neighbors. And I know that both of you can agree with this, and we just want to remind everyone that is watching, that may be attending the game, and whichever side of the fence that you're on, is that we need to remember that we talk about the Wylie way a lot, and we talk about how to treat each other with respect, and we talk about how to maybe maintain your composure. And so we just want to take a minute. Our PSA for this entire segment is that just we all live here. It's a football game. We understand it is going to be intense. There's going to be emotions, probably your kiddos out there, somebody else's kiddos out there. But at the end of the day, let's have a good time. Remember that it is a football game, and we don't have to meet each other in the parking lot afterwards. Because I know that, I mean, you know, Wylie is we usually keep those things under wraps, but that was the one thing they mentioned is let's just remind everybody that we all still love each other at the end of the day. That makes sense.
Can I add on to that?
Of course you can. Of course you can. We have some boxing gloves. No, I'm just joking.
What I would encourage, and hopefully I don't speak, but if you're watch the game, watch how their players act, watch how our players act. And you watched the game last year. It was such a good, clean football game. Is it physical and violent?
Sure.
Absolutely. But when the whistle was blown, it was taken care of. There was no personal fouls in that game.
Yeah.
If I think, but I don't ever remember anything that was. It was just a competitive football game.
Yeah.
So if you're in the stands, you're watching, and I know everybody's competitive. Watch how
Pay
our
attention to how your
coaches
kiddos
and
out there,
their
the
coaches
coaches.
and our players and their players are acting, and follow suit.
Take notes.
Yeah.
Take notes.
I agree.
No, I think that's most of what we have. I know you guys we joked about it, but I know you guys are extremely busy. I know that y'all have schools to be at, and you've got practices to get ready for, and you got games tomorrow. So we just want to say from both of us, and then I know that there was some other folks to help us orchestrate this. So we appreciate you guys being here, and thanks for taking some time out of your day, and good luck to both of you. I won't make any comments about being on the east side again. I'm just going to say good luck to both of you.
Yep.
And we hope we have a good game, and just appreciate y'all being
Before
here.
we wrap up,
Oh, you got something?
I kind of got an idea if it doesn't already exist.
Okay.
Is there a Crosstown Showdown trophy that passes to whoever wins each year that the winner gets to hang on to it for the year?
Not
for bragging
the
rights?
football game, but the principals came up with a Crosstown belt last year, and it had to do with academics and contests and athletic events. And so that was last year was the first year for that. So
That's cool. Okay.
And Wylie High had the belt last year. So
Okay.
sorry,
I guess
Challenge.
almost.
Well, I joked with Wes before we started, and then we can legitimately close it out and let these guys get out of here. But I joked to Wes, I was like, I almost asked Ms. Doolin, I'm like, is there an extra like football helmet or a jersey laying around? Because like I was almost going to write DUBEAST on the back of my paper and just hold it up the whole time. But I was like, I don't know. I mean, I got friends everywhere. Some would be nice, but no, it's fun, and I appreciate you guys being here and being good spirits about it. And I'm looking forward to it. It's always a fun time because we'll be this year. Volleyball games will be packed out right before y'all start. So I told April right before she left, I'm like, we're going to have a decent parking spot. I'm not going to be fighting for a parking spot this year. We'll already be there. No one else cheat that, though. Just don't even come to the volleyball game. Y'all get there when you're supposed to.
I know you're trying to wrap this up. I got one more question.
Okay, go for it.
Who's home and who's visitor this year?
We're the visitor. East is the visitors this year.
Okay.
High is home.
Does it go back and forth each year?
It does. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we didn't determine that. It's done in our draw in our district when we realign every year. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
just
okay.
kind of the way it worked out. So
Yeah, because
Okay.
East was home last year. So I'm assuming it'll just keep flip-flopping that way, or maybe.
we won't know until
All about realignment
Yeah, we won't know
and
until
how
next
that. I
March,
mean,
so.
yeah. So
Okay, well, that's good. Fun fact for us today. They don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, guys, again, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And Wes, I think that's it. We can tell folks to head on home.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, guys, for being here, too.
thank you.
Thank you.